Okay, it is the 28th of December. Rabbi Levitt, Gemora.
Whew. Put that over here. Oh yeah. Yeah, we're talking about the Moser. Okay, so we basically got up to Timra the Mekansa Logamrinin. Huh? This is the second line. Kufyud Zion Amid Aleph, 117a. The very second line from the top. Menah Timra. Basically, how do we know that we don't learn out from a knas? Okay, so Roy, you want to start?
You say, sorry, who did you say?
Roy, would you like to start?
All right, thank you.
If not, I could do it. 115b5,
No,
Mishnah.
117.
117a.
117.
A.
117A1.
That's right, Roy. 117A1.
And it's the second paragraph on the left-hand side. Rav Yosef questions Rav Huna Ba'achia's assumption. You got that?
I think so.
No, I'm sorry. I'm talking to Alan. You get it, yeah. You got that, Alan?
Roy, can you say it a little bit louder?
It's 117A1.
Right.
Left-hand column, second paragraph.
Rav Yosef, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, Roy, I also have a lot of trouble hearing you.
Rav Yosef questions Rav Huna Ba'achia's assumption. What? No, is it?
No, Timra.
What's under the nun? Comments, is it?
What's under the nun?
Comments, yeah. Umana, Timra, the Miknasa, Law, Gamma Renan. And from where do you know to say that we do not extrapolate from the imposition of a fine in one case to another, similar cases? The Ashra goes on, even if Reb Nachman was imposing a fine, we can still learn from his ruling that fines are imposed in cases of causative damage. Okay.
Okay. Let's see here. Okay, so let's continue with the Brisa, the Sanya.
All right, the Spanish
He's
sort-
bringing a support to what he's saying.
For it was taught in the Brisa, Barashuna, Ayu, Amarim, Amitmei, Vahamanaseh. What's happened to Alan? Originally, they said that one who contaminates someone's produce with tumah, or one who renders someone's wine nesek by pouring it as a libation for an idol, both cases of indiscernible damage, they're liable to pay. Hazaru Loma Af Hamadamea. They later said that one who mixes teruma into someone's full-in produce, another case of indiscernible damage, is also liable to pay. Chazaru Ain, this implies that because they later expressly included the case of one who mixes teruma into someone's full-in, yes, he is liable. Lo Hazaru Lo, but they had not later included this case. But had they not later included this case, no, he would not be liable. Tama, what is the reason? Lo Mishum Diknosa Hu. Is it not because it, that is a liability for indiscernible damage, is a fine? Ukanosa lo namarinan mene. And we do not extrapolate from the imposition of a fine in one case to another to other similar cases.
Okay. So, okay. So the Gemora over here is bringing a brisa, and we learn from this brisa. Rav Huna Baruchi is suggesting that it's apparent from this brisa that we cannot learn out from a knas. Cannot learn out from a knas. So let's take a look again at exactly what the proof is from the brisa. What is the case that the brisa is talking about over here? Rishona, Hayomrim, Hamatame, Manaseh. Oh, and we understand that it means that there'll be liability for such things. Rishona, they said, Hamatame v'Hamanaseh. The case of Matame, he contaminates the taros of his friend, makes them tame, or Manaseh, or he invalidates wine by using it for avodah zarah. So even though those things don't change their essential makeup, it's still wine. It's still produce, whatever it was. The fact that it has a different halakhic designation doesn't really, you can't really tell that it has that. It's not. This is called hezek she'eino niker. This is called damage which is not apparent. So originally that's what they said, that those things are chayav. The person will be who caused it will be chayav to pay for such hezek she'eino niker. Chosru loymar af hamdameya. Oh, so then the rabbi said that even hamadame, even somebody who inadvertently puts truma into chulin, and causes now that chulin to be ushered for a Yisrael to eat. So he's causing a hezek, shein or nicker, but it's not apparent. So they said that also will be chai. So what can we learn out from this brisa? Says Reb Chia Bar Chia. What is there to learn out? What we can learn out is okay. What we can learn out is that if it hadn't have been for the fact that the rabbis came along and they instituted this obligation, so we would not have been able to derive such a thing from our own ability to extrapolate. And with the reason for that is only because of the fact that it's not it's not really the Torah's it's not a din in Hilchos Nezikin, but it is simply a penalty imposed upon this guy for making this damage. Okay, let's take a look at the Rashis we have. Rashi's going to tell us a little bit more about these cases that Bryce is talking about. First Rashi is on the third line from the top. Hamatame, the one who makes impure, impure.
The Torah Hoto, the Shel Chavero, the being tahar of his friend, or Minesech Yaino Shel Chavero, or Nesech wine Nesech friend. This is La'adz. La'odazara? For Avodazara.
Yes, to Avodazara, right.
The Afagav, even though the Kamei that Manas he takes a portion, the Ein Chaziku, and the damage is not Nika. And it's not, the damage is not recognizable. Mishalem, he still has to pay. Someone who makes a tummy still would have to pay.
I think what the literal meaning of those words that Rashi's saying is the afogav, even though the kamei manach, that before him he placed the item that he contaminated, bein hazeko nicker, and the damage to the item is not apparent to the eye because you can't tell whether grains are ritually pure, ritually impure. It looks like exactly the same grain, right? So even though that is so, it's hezek she'eino nicker, and the Torah does not provide for compensation in such a case like that. Mishalem, he's going to pay. Why is he going to pay if the Torah doesn't provide for such compensation? So the reason he's going to pay is because that's the knas factor. It's a penalty that the Bezdin has an authority to impose upon the damager for causing such damage. Okay. So they said. So the Brisa says that Rishona, the Chachamim said that someone that makes his friend's stuff tameh, or somebody who uses his friend's wine for avodah zarah and thereby disqualifies him from being able to drink it. In both of those cases, the Chachamim said that we're going to make them have to pay for that. And Okay, now we go to the next Rashi. Lo chazru lo. So this is the Gemora picking up, and on the third case, and then chazru. Then subsequent to the initial legislation that the Chachamim did, they made even Hamadameya also going to be chayav. Then this Rashi is out of place. Lo chazru lo. First, let's read the Hamadameya below it, a line below it. Let's first read that.
Hamadeus, someone who puts truma in it. Arev tchulin b'truma. He mixes up chulin together with truma. The haftit, the mafchid lessens the value of the chulin. The low
Right.
it's fitting. It's not fitting. May hashtu now, ella lemiker lakohanim, because now he's only able to sell it to kohanim.
Right, and the Kohanim know that. So the Kohanim all say to themselves, okay, so we're not going to pay more than half price for this stuff. And so he can't charge more than a fraction of the original price. He's got a restricted market, and that market knows that they're in the driver's seat too. He's got to sell it to them. If they don't buy it from him, then what's he going to do? He's got a problem. So that's called hezek she'eino nicker. Undiscernible damage. You can't tell from looking at the this produce that it has a mixture of hulin and truma in it. So that's what they subsequently legislated that case as well. So now let's ask ourselves the question: what does this brisa have to do with what we've been talking about? Can you learn out from an imposition of a penalty or not? That's going to be the subject of the next sentence of the Gemora. Chazru in, lo chazru lo. Lou, you want to read this Rashi?
Okay. I'm reading the Bidul Maftil is low.
Lo chazru lo. Yeah.
Lo chazru lo. Hayinu gamre medima mi minasach. It is completed in the government.
These are the two cases that the brisa originally the brisa relates that the Chachamim originally legislated there's going to be a payment to be made. In other words, there's going to be a fine. Even though the Torah law itself does not provide for payment compensation in such cases like this of hezek she'eino nicker. Damage that's caused, which you can't tell that anything's damaged. It's those are the two cases, Medama, and I'm sorry, Medameya is the case. That was the third case, and Menasech is the second case. Rashi's not talking about the first case for some reason. I don't know why he's picking specifically the second case as opposed to the first case. But the point is like this. This is a run on Rashi. In other words, the Rashi reads like this. Lo chazru, but for the fact that the Chachamim came along and they went back subsequent to their first two their first legislation, and they legislated this also, this din of the case of the Medamea. Lo hayinu, we read it as a run-on. Lo hayinu gamrinan, we would not have learned out. Gamrina, we would not have learned out. Lo hayinu, we would not have learned out. Midamea mimanase, we would not have learned out from that in a case of mixing up truma and chulin together, we would not have learned out that would be a case also that we should impose a penalty on. And what would be and how would we have done that? By saying, look, there's already it's not a din, but it's something that the Chachamim said that should be chayiv. The case of Menaseh, when somebody causes indiscernible damage to somebody's wine by using it for avodah zarah, that is called Menaseh. Menaseh means that he has poured out a libation for the sake of avodah zarah. So this asers such wine from being from having any benefit whatsoever to such wine now. And even though you can't tell, it looks like it's very nice wine in the bottle over there. It comes from whatever it is, Baron Rothschild's and all the good places that you want to drink wine from. But in fact, it's totally worthless. It's absolutely worthless. You not only can you not drink it, you can't even give it to your dog to drink. I don't know if dogs drink wine, but let's say you wanted to sell it to a non-Jew, you would not be able to do it because you can't have any benefit even from yain nesech. And so it's totally worthless. But the Torah doesn't have any compensation for such a thing because it's undiscernible damage. But the Chachamim said that we're going to impose obligation to pay in such a case. We're calling that a knas. The Chachamim did that, but the Brisa says that they went back subsequent to that, and they legislated also a second case of Medamea with the mixture of truma into chulin or chulin to truma. Either way, that will. Why did they need? In other words, the question is like this: Why did the Chachamim need to make a formal legislated compensation for the case of Midamea? That is the question. Because if we would be able to derive from the facts that they already have legislated a penalty in the case of indiscernible damage, such as yain nesech, or such as, what was the other case? Metame, causing the truma or taros to be ritually impure, we would be able to extrapolate from there. If they made a fine in such a case, also we should also find people in similar cases where there's indiscernible damage, because we see the point is that they wanted to impose a fine on indiscernible damage. And so, if so, why did the Chachamim see fit to make a formal legislated enactment to say that also this case of Midamea is also going to be compensation required to pay in such a case? They didn't need to do that. So therefore, what do we see? We see that we cannot learn out. We cannot learn out from from a knas. We can learn out from a din, but we cannot learn out from a knas. Remember, a din is that we're saying that according to the Torah, the Torah says that this case requires compensation. If that's what the basis of the ruling of Rav Nachman was, so then we could certainly learn out from that to other similar cases where the same legal principles apply, because that's what the Torah says. So the Torah says over there, Torah will say in a case which has the same principle involved as well. But over here, we're saying, no, this is not what the Torah says. It's just that the Chachamim made legislated enactments. And so if they only legislated those two cases of indiscernible damage, so it must be they had a reason why only those two, and they don't want any others. And we can't learn out. And that we see from the Brisa. The Brisa says that they had to come subsequent and do a third, do an enactment for this third case of Midamea. Okay. Sounds very good, but the Gemora doesn't like it. The next word in the Gemora, lo, no. Who wants to read lo? Alan, is Alan there? I don't see Alan here.
No,
It's not there. Okay, back to Roy.
no, I'm sorry, I can't read. I've got a migraine.
Oi,
Lo, Chazru lo, that where we are?
no, the lo that says lo, mi kara savre.
Let me see if I can find it.
One line down.
Lo.
2 lines down, actually.
Lo. Meikara, got it. No, that's not the reason. Meikara savre lehefseid merube chashu. Rather, originally, they held, they thought that they should be concerned with a major loss. The hepsaid mu'at lo kashashu. With a minor loss, they were not worried. They're not concerned.
Very interesting. Yeah.
Ulavasof savrei lehefsaid mu'at nami chashashu. But in the end, they were concerned with a minor loss as well. So
Okay.
starting
Yeah.
out, they were worried with only major, not minor, and then they decided no, they're worried about minor also. What does that have to do with anything?
Right. That's the question. That is the question. What does this have to do with what? What are we trying to figure out over here? We're trying to figure out whether we can learn out from the imposition of a knas or not. That's the issue over here. So, right, we wanted to infer from what it says in the Brisa that the reason that the Chachamim legislated an obligation to pay in the case of the Midamea was because it's not at all possible to learn out from a case where a fine was imposed. You can't learn anything out. There's nothing to be learned out. That's what happened over there, and it's not possible at all to learn anything at all. Now, the Gemora is saying, no, you don't have a proof. You don't have a proof that you can never learn out from the imposition of a knas. You don't have a proof from that brisa that you could never learn out from any knas anything at all. There's nothing to be learned out from any knas. You can't do it. Let's see what Rashi says. The hefsid meruba.
The hefsid meruba for a large loss. Mitame truma, the truma gets tame, is a hefsed meruba. It's a large loss when you tame truma. Bato the furthermore low haze lechila, because it's now not fitting to be eaten if you tummy up the truma.
Even though you can use it for
but Trump, he can't
use it for eating.
A hefsed ma'uta, who small loss is the ha mizadvin. It says mizadvin lakonin at the meitruba, because
you could sell it to
lakonin, but for the value of truma.
Right? And everybody knows that truma, the price for truma for exactly the same produce is much less than the price for that produce which is not truma. For very, very many different reasons. One is you have a much bigger market. You can sell it to a whole array of people. Chulin. You can even sell chulin to goyim, in addition to Jews. And so there's a big market for it. So people, so if people want it and they need it, so you got it, so you're in the driver's seat, right? But when it comes to truma, who's your market? Who can you market the truma to?
Kohen.
A Kohen. How many Kohanim are there?
Not many.
It's not a lot of Kohanim. And there's something else about the matter. The Kohen gets produce for free also, right? He gets truma gedola from the person that needs to do the mitzvah of giving the truma gedola to the Kohen. So the Kohen is a lot of Kohanim, they're good to go. They don't even have to pay for any food at all. So if you would ask them, here, I got some truma for you, I'd like to sell it to you. How much are you willing to pay for it? And he says, well, I'll tell you, I'm not really willing to pay for it at all, because I get all the food that I need from Plony over here. He gives me all of his truma. So there's two reasons why there's the market for truma, to sell truma is not a profitable market. No, not at all. So you're gonna get a fraction of the price. So that's called interesting. That's called a hefsid mu'atz. That's called a small damage, because you could sell it to somebody. There is something to do with it. Whereas in the case of the truma that becomes tameh, not only can you not sell it to a Jew, and of course not to a non-Jew, but you can't even, what can a Kohen do with truma which is tameh? He can't eat it. So what's he going to do with it? So that's called a hefsid meruba. That's called a major hefsid. Okay, so what have we done in the Gemora? we've pointed out that the three cases that are involved in the brisa, there's a difference between them. It's true that all the cases have one thing in common: hezek she'eino nicker. It's a hezek to the food item, but and it's not nicker. And so, you see that the Chachamim imposed a compensation for it. So let's say also in the case of Midamea, let's also say the same thing over there. So on that, and if we see that the Bryce says that the Chachamim had to come along and legislate it because we couldn't learn out on our own, so that must tell us that you can't learn out at all from a knas. You can't make any rule. You can't make any precedent based upon the imposition of a penalty. Now the Gemara says no. It's just that over here, there's a reason why they weren't able to learn out from the knas of contaminating truma. Why was it that it's not possible to learn out from truma contamination to mixing truma with chulin? What's the difference? The difference is because when it comes to contaminating truma, that's a hefsid meruba. So perhaps the knas that the Chachamim imposed in the case of hamatame is because there was a hefsid meruba over there, and therefore they said in the case of indiscernible damage that involves a hefsid meruba, a major loss to the individual that owned that stuff, so then they imposed a penalty. But that doesn't mean that I can learn from there to a case of indiscernible damage involving truma that fell into chulin. Is that stuff totally unusable? No. You just sell it. You're just going to take a major loss. We'll call it a minor loss, because Rashi calls it a minor loss, and you're going to sell it to a Kohen. But it's not like the damage was total. And so in that case, we would not know that from the fact that the Chachamim legislated indiscernible damage compensation to say that in the case of Hamadamea, there would be also compensation because it's indiscernible damage, because that's indiscernible damage, which the hefsid is, it's not a major loss to the guy. And therefore, what does that mean? That means that, you know what? If you would show me a case of indiscernible damage that was also a hefsid meruba, so then perhaps we would be able to learn from that case, even though it wasn't legislated already. That's the point. Got the point?
Thank you, Rabbi.
Okay, thank you.